I'll put it this way. I don't like Dylan Mulvaney. I don't know Dylan Mulvaney personally. This is purely professional. Dylan Mulvaney may be the nicest person when you meet them in person, and maybe they would hold the door for you and buy you a coffee. But professionally, Dylan Mulvaney represents the algorithmic crisis to an extreme degree. Making money off of and profiting off of what these machines are doing. And it is the banality of evil, the exploitation of the algorithm for personal gain, whether they know it or not.
So, this is the problem. Tim Pool is to conservatives as Dylan Mulvaney is to women. And you may infer from that I'm saying that Tim Pool isn't a real conservative. And, well, Tim Pool doesn't consider Tim Pool to be a conservative. If you watch enough of his content, you realize that Tim Pool self-identifies as a 90s Democrat. And his positions are actually pretty much indistinguishable from that. One of the things that 90s Democrats did, Hillary Clinton, for example, is rather famous for it, is that they would engage in virtue signaling by talking about how they were going to be, tough on crime or whatever. Hillary Clinton even did this super predators line that she got really infamous for, where she talked about how basically in very thinly coded racist rhetoric about how black children are basically criminals and need to be brought to heel. Brought to heel was the phrase she used. Because 90s Democrats knew that hating black people was a reliable way to get votes from scared white people, which is what you want to do. If you want to control people, is you want to make them scared. Now, let me just be clear about my own motives here. I've been following Tim Pool for a while, and that's because I have very conservative views. Okay? The algorithm keeps telling me to watch Tim Pool. Even after I unsubscribed, the algorithm continued telling me to watch Tim Pool. I'm not coming at this from the angle of some blue-haired woke corpo. I actually think that performing sex changes on children is vile, that people who do it probably belong in some sort of a corrective facility, or a correctional facility, perhaps would be more accurate. I'm coming at this from the point of view of someone who sees conservatives, from my point of view, essentially getting swindled by someone who's following the algorithm. And also from the point of view of someone who's genuinely concerned that he's literally going down the same road that he just described as the one that Dylan Mulvaney went down. Here's the thing, Tim Pool, if you look at his current content, it's all basically panic-mongering about leftists. This is the one that actually caused me to unsubscribe. I thought this one was particularly disgusting, where he's basically trying to panic-monger over the idea 12 days ago it didn't happen. He didn't know that. Almost as if I almost get the feeling that he was hoping it would. He obviously wouldn't say that, but I feel like somehow he must have been a bit disappointed. But trying to panic-monger over the fear, the completely unfounded fear, I might add, because the woke left doesn't care about the working class. That's one of the characteristics of the woke left. But the completely unfounded fear that these evil leftists might get mad over the death of a worthless homeless person. And he's pitching this to his audience, not me, obviously. But he's pitching it to a certain kind of an audience, Here you see, this is someone who would have voted for Hillary Clinton back in, 1996. You guys notice something if you rob, rape, loot, murder, kidnap, or brutally torture someone to death? This is ridiculous. No one will protest. Brutally torture someone to death? I'm not quite sure what he's talking about there. Are you talking about abortion there? Oh, gee, there's a little problem with that. Tim Pool says he's pro-choice. He's very much against child abuse unless you finish the job. Mutilating children is wrong, according to Tim Pool. Jazz Jennings' parent mother, should be investigated. Criminal charges brought, according to Tim Pool. However, if she had just gone all the way and killed the little guy, well, that's fine, because, that's choice. That's her choice as a mother to kill her own children. That's sacrosanct. Child abuse is wrong unless you finish it. You gotta finish the job. Don't start unless you're gonna finish it. Brutally torture someone to death. I'm not sure quite what he's talking about, but if you hurt a criminal in any way, riots, yeah. Those worthless homeless people. Why would anyone get angry over the death of a worthless homeless person? They didn't. Because they don't care, beyond a little bit of performative virtue signaling. But, I mean, just imagine how far, into the morality of Sodom and Gomorrah you have to be, how arrogant, overfed, and unconcerned with the poor and needy you have to be, how haughty and detestable you have to actually be worried and spreading panic over the idea that people might get mad over the death of a worthless homeless person. But, this is his audience. Once a Marine, always a Marine. He did exactly what he should have. This is actually kind of messed up, because it's my understanding that Mr. Penny himself says that he regrets the death of the guy. In fact, what actually happened is he basically put the guy in a chokehold, and then someone else came along and said, you don't want to catch a murder rap, you better let the guy go. And then he did, and put him in a recovery position, and he died, because by then it was already too late. It was, as far as I can tell, an accidental killing. I don't support what he did. I think he escalated a situation when he could have calmed it down just by giving the poor homeless guy who was demanding food some help. That's, I think, what a decent, normal, what a real man would do. But even he didn't actually indicate that he believed he did exactly what he should have. He indicated that he regretted what happened. I don't think he'd actually admit wrongdoing, because that's a stupid thing to do in a criminal case unless you actually have a conscience. But I would have done the exact same thing. Semper Fi, brother. Yeah, wow. You can tell this Kyle Coward guy, I mean, you can tell he's thought about it too. You can tell he's thought about this. This is a guy who's fantasized about strangling homeless people. This is the greasy strangler right here. Real class act here. Oh, this guy, even nicer. These are your people, Tim Pool. These are your people. Hellcat. What a nice person. What a nice person. A cat with spider eyes. That's his avatar. Jordan Peterson actually did, I think, an extremely good job of describing this type of person. This kind of satanic character who shows up in online discourse. It's horrifying, it's sad. The only thing sad or horrifying about this entire thing is that charges are going to be pressed. Can we please stop acting like violent, criminally deranged people are some big loss when they go? I saw other comments like this which aren't visible anymore because I reported them. Yes, I do that sometimes, saying this is just taking out the trash and really messed up shit like this. But those aren't visible anymore because I reported them, which means they disappear for me, probably no one else. But yeah, seriously, just think about this. These are your people. Your people are the greasy strangler and spider furry. This creep guy with spider eyes, Hellcat, totally. Yeah, this is a conservative, all right.
Violent protest.
Real decent salt of the earth type, spider furry, who's literally rejoicing at the death of a homeless person. That guy seems well adjusted and normal. But something good that I have to say about Tim Pool, he doesn't self-identify as a Christian. Despite being raised as a Catholic school and then dropping out when he was 14, he doesn't self-identify as a Christian. That's good, because it means he's not a religious hypocrite in addition to being everything else. He is either a hypocrite or someone who has evolved in ways that he doesn't like to acknowledge, though. This is a guy who started out in Occupy Wall Street. In Occupy Wall Street, okay? Now, and what has he done? How does he identify himself? How has he changed over the years? In 2011, he told on the media, I don't consider myself a journalist. I consider myself an activist, 100% there to support the movement. Wikipedia is a good aggregator. I don't trust it. I look into it. I check their sources. Yeah, that's completely accurate. I don't consider myself a journalist. I mean, people can say I am whatever I am, if that's what I am. I consider myself an activist 100%. And I feel like the best thing for the movement is blah, 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 blah. And he goes further than that. I feel like I'm 80% of the time unbiased, and I have the natural Occupy Wall Street is fighting for the people in me. So I did come down here to support the movement. I'm not going to deny or lie about it. Oh, good intentions. Good intentions. I really like the I'm not going to deny or lie about it, because that's exactly what he did. Oh dear. In 2012, he told Al Pice, I'm not an activist, and described himself as a journalist. Now, in fairness, I think he was talking about a different protest there. But here's where it comes full circle. In 2018, Poole said, I don't align with Occupy Wall Street and never did. I did come down here to support the movement. I'm not going to deny or lie about it. I don't align with Wall Street, with Occupy Wall Street, and never did. And this was on his own show, by the way. On his own show, he denounced the Occupy movement as crooked. This is a man who's been trained by the algorithm. And that's actually not a new thing. It's not an invention of the tech age. It goes back way before that. It's something that was pointed out by Jordan Peterson once again. I used to watch him a lot. I don't anymore. He's kind of... After he brought Yeonmi Park on the show, I realized that he was a bit unprincipled. But, yeah, it's something that's always happened is, we call these people opinion leaders, but the fact is that they're opinion followers. They are trained by their audience to produce a certain kind of content, and they feed the people what they want. That's their job. Whether they recognize it consciously or not, is to keep giving people what they want more of. And, that's what he's doing. And so he's not merely serving the algorithm, he's become a tool of the algorithm and its primary goal of dividing people and atomizing society and separating people off into these increasingly toxic little camps of extremists who hate each other and can always be counted on to adopt an absurd and vile position to counter any good positions that they might also have adopted. And so instead of disagreeing about, what's right and wrong, they just basically say, well, I'll take the killing homeless people as fine if you take the mutilating kids as fine. And just no one's allowed to be normal or righteous. Just remember that. That's the rule. And it's sad. It's frustrating. And as he said with Dylan Mulvaney, I don't have any ill feelings towards Tim Pool. I used to be kind of like him. I still am actually kind of like him in a lot of ways. I'm a conservative who's also a leftist. I'll sort that out later. I used to wear a beanie indoors to cover my bald spot, which I'm pretty sure is what he's doing. I've grown up since then. I now have the confidence to just be bold and brash about my shiny head, but I used to wear a beanie indoors to cover my bald spot. I understand. I feel like this guy is, someone I could relate to. But unfortunately, he seems to be trained by the algorithm. He's giving the people what they want. And what they want is a guy who started out testifying against police officers who are trying to defame protesters into a guy who's literally cheerleading for Kyle Rittenhouse, a guy who shows up to a protest with a gun he isn't even legally permitted to be carrying and starts shooting people. He's gone full circle. He's gone from I'm here to support the movement, I'm not going to lie or deny about it, to I don't support the movement and I never did. They're crooked. But anyhow, I just hope there's someone in his life who cares about him and his immortal soul, which he has whether he wants to believe in it or not. He says he believes in God. I hope he believes he has a soul as well. I hope there's someone in his life who cares about him enough to pull him away from this, to make him realize that he needs to develop some integrity, that he maybe used to have integrity before he became a slave to his audience. And that no matter how much money he gets, he's never going to be a real person if he just keeps following the algorithm, as I fear he is. And I hope I'm wrong about all of this. I hope he's just contradicting himself and being a total hypocrite for his own reasons. But I doubt it, because this is how crowd phenomenon work. This is how the algorithm works. And so I just want to say I hope he has the best. I hope he finds happiness somehow, and I hope that all of you, I hope I made you think at least, and maybe subtly planted the idea in your minds that you should not allow yourself to be manipulated by this kind of balkanizing, algorithmically created monstrosity that tells you to be very, very afraid that the other side might not be quite as depraved as you in a slightly different way. Those awful people are going to prevent us from performing gender-affirming care on kids. Can you imagine? They're going to start locking up people just for cutting the balls off their own children. Those awful people are angry just because a worthless homeless person was strangled by a Batman wannabe on the subway. Seriously, he's talked about the demon clowns in the transurrection, but I mean, compared to the demon clowns, I mean, like, seriously, I mean, I think compared to Spider Furry over here, I think the demon clowns might be an improvement.
Violent protest.
These people are clowns too. They're just clowns who fantasize about strangling homeless people. Tim, for the love of something, stop with the algorithm. Stop with all of these constant videos designed to appeal to people's fear and hatred and desire to feel better than other people. Just try to be that honest journalist you're always meant to be. It's still in there somewhere. Anyhow, God bless.